Good morning, everyone. Brian here with BMK Retro Gaming. This morning I have for us the comparison contrast video of the Atari VCS 2600 prototype game Cracked and the released Atari 7800 original library port of Cracked. Now there are a few subtle differences here. One moment. Need a bit of hydration. Okay. They were both developed in 1988 by Atari Corporation to be published. The Atari VCS 2600 prototype, which went unreleased, was by Randy Bowker and Bruce Williams and was going to be published by Atari Corporation. Whereas the Atari 7800 port was also developed in 1988 by Robert Neve, and which was published by Atari Corporation. So they, interestingly enough, were same year. They just, for whatever reason, didn't go through with the publishing on the Atari VCS 2600 port. Anyway, a few other differences is the prototype for the Atari VCS 2600 would have had a model number of CX-26142, whereas the released Atari 7800 port has a released model number of CX-7836. I'm sorry. So there's that. A few other minor differences are things like that, the released Atari 7800 port has technically 6 levels, or stages if you count Rooster Ranch. And the Atari VCS 2600 port, if you count prototype, if you count Rooster Ranch, has only 3. And then another personal one for me is, I don't know about, I know there are ways like through AtariMania.com where you can get presumably a digital download, probably for free, of the Atari VCS 2600 prototype game ROM, a digital download of it. And I have that to emulate through my HyperCam Retron 77. Well, that's through emulation, whereas I do have a physical copy of the Atari 7800 port, as we can see here and as I reviewed recently. It also has a very nice cartridge to it. With nice artwork on the cartridge label. Pretty nice looking top label. Not perfect. In my case, it's not CIB, as it is mostly cartridge and box, though no manual. So anyway, don't want to delay too much and let this video run for too much longer than it doesn't have to. I've got my HyperCam Retron 77 set up to emulate the Atari VCS 2600 prototype, and then we'll switch over to my Atari 7800 to play around on the Atari 7800 original library port. And in both cases, we'll use my gamepad controller I got from Retro Game Boys, as it's very good for controlling a game like this. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and get set up with the HyperCam Retron 77, and we're going to take a look into some gameplay. Okay, so here we go with gameplay for the Cracked Atari VCS 2600 prototype game. Give it a moment to let the HyperCam Retron 77 start up. As I've noted before with some, I know some aren't crazy about this thing, but it is good for things like this, like emulation some. And it's pretty good at it. We'll go with it. We'll play it on easy. It's a bit loud. It's a one-button game. One press to fire, and then if you have an egg to catch, hold it. Oh, and then a second press to release it. That's one other difference from the Atari 7800 port is, With that one, it might let it go, or the egg might be gone if you are not careful enough to, Well, with this one, you know, one press to fire your slingshot. Whole story is that you're an ornithologist trying to protect the eggs of the rare South American hornbills from being taken by these creatures. Those are supposed to be gorillas, the humanoid-looking ones. And by the way, this is the subway level. Or, yeah, it's known as subway on this one. Kind of looks more like a sewer, which is what it's known with the Atari 7800 port. Here's Rooster Ranch. Missed him. On here, you have a mouse cursor type setup, as you would the thing is that it was originally developed for the Atari ST home computer, so. And it used a mouse with a two-button mouse pad with the cursor, which is why the two-button setup on the Atari 7800 works some, and it's not a light gun game. And here, it's one button. I guess, though, with this board, it kind of proves, you know, how you can grab an egg with one button press when you're not firing, and then another to release it. You could have worked it around where you don't need a mouse pad controller at all on the Atari 7800 port too, but for some reason that just didn't happen. 2 eggs left. This one's a bit easier in some ways. So that we have the first level, which is the tree, and then the subway, and then Rooster Ranch, all 3 levels or stages, so. Down to 1 egg left actually makes it a bit easier since I can get my hands on it. And just shoot around. And of course things end after you run out of eggs to protect. The various creatures, I guess, probably want to eat the egg, so it usually is described as though for their own nefarious purposes, so go figure. Rooster Ranch again. One other difference I've noticed on this one is that they don't try to egg you back on this one. Whereas on the Atari 7800 port, they will try to egg you. I've even noticed to a certain degree you can kind of block their egg shot if you hit it with your own, so. And you get about 10 shots or 10 eggs before you're out, so. Missed it. Well, there's the last egg. 11,000 points. Maybe could have done better, especially on easy mode, but that's okay. Okay, so I'm going to get switched over to the Atari 7800 and we'll take a look into that one. Okay, so here we go with gameplay for the Atari 7800 port of Cracked. This one, it's 2-button, with the first being used to shoot, the second to catch eggs and to release them. And pretty much the same deal. 6 levels instead, so it's a bit more complex. Darn, couldn't get it. Just snakes on this one right now, so not sure what's up with that. Okay, 3400. That was first level tree. Now we're at Rooster Ranch. Again, it has a mouse cursor type setup, so it's a bit more, not 100% ideal here, but it could be worse, I guess. Takes a bit to reorient on it is the only thing I see as being a bit problematic with that. Got him. 2. For you. And it seems like you can kind of counter their eggs thrown at you to egg you by hitting them. Again, you have 10 eggs to go to try to get them, so. Once you run out of eggs is when you end up exiting this stage. And there we go. Okay, this is the sewer level, which in the Atari VCS 2600 prototype was known as the subway level instead. There we go. See, the creatures here that you have trying to steal eggs are a bit different than before. I don't think so. And again, you just hold to keep the egg until you manage to redeposit it. And we're back to the yield tree. Six eggs left. Half dozen. Oh, too high. The Rooster Ranch stage would probably be more fun if it were a bit easier to control, but I guess it could be worse. There's one. Darn, missed him again. And this one again, just like the other version, you can lose points some. Okay, this is the underwater level, apparently. Darn, missed it. I wasn't able to show off all 6 levels when I reviewed this before, so maybe we'll get there this time. Forget if it's underwater or sea level, which one they call it, but one egg left to protect. This shouldn't be too tough. One. Boost the range again. Missed. Again, on this stage, once you waste your 10 eggs firing at them is when you're done. Ugh. There's one. Two. Wasn't fast enough. Okay, and this is the dungeon level. All different types of bats, ghosts, and other spooks try to take the eggs here, so. Of course, with only 1 egg left, it shouldn't be too tough to keep them out of there. Again, didn't get to show the last level on the Atari 7800 original library review video, so hopefully we can get there on this one and I can show it off a bit before we're done. And we're back to C, huh? Fine by me. If I'm not mistaken, even those bubbles can try to take the egg if you're not careful enough to bust them before they get away with it. Another round at Rooster Ranch. There's one down. I'm not going to bother. 2, 300 points extra. 3, 400. 600 at 5. Missed him. $800. Well, that's 600 extra there, so not too bad. And this is the last level, the moon level. Well, it's supposed to be a moon level, I think. And didn't get to show too much of it, but oh well. I think you guys have a pretty good idea with the gameplay on those two by now, so. And 15,900 points, I could have done worse. Okay, so that was Cracked, also somewhat subtitled An Exciting Adventure. Both the Atari VCS 2600 prototype and the Atari 7800 original library port from 1988. Are they good? I think both are pretty well. It's kind of, well, some reviewers back in the day found the Atari 7800 port to be a more or less mediocre Atari 7800 original library game. I can kind of see with the mouse cursor setup and all, and how it kind of makes the controls a bit complicated, where it looks like it would make for a great light gun game. Yeah, I can see where it may not have been top ranked. Though it is a pretty good game as it goes, whereas the Atari VCS 2600 prototype was actually, would have likely been regarded as fairly impressive for the Atari VCS 2600. Granted, with only about half the amount of levels or stages put together, but still, that's a lot to cram into a 4K cartridge for the Atari VCS 2600. So, yeah, I can see where it probably would have been fairly impressive had it been released, and it's a pretty impressive for a more or less complete Atari VCS 2600 prototype. So, I'd say if you get a chance to check either of these two out, if you haven't yet, go for it, because they're both pretty good games, as far as I'm concerned. Anyway, I don't have any recommendations and links on these two because, well, I checked, but it doesn't appear as though any of my preferred YouTubers have compared contrasted these two ports of the game with each other, so don't have any of those. Big shout out to both my Atari 2600 Facebook group, love you guys over there, and also to my Atari 7800 Pro System Gamers Facebook group, and love you guys over there too, and hopefully y'all both will be getting some posts of this video uploaded before too late this morning. A bit of rainy weather expected, so it might take a little bit longer than usual, and it is overcast now, but I don't imagine this one will take all morning or anything like that, so there is that. Anyway, I haven't quite yet still picked out which prototype game I'm going to go ahead and present for Sunday's prototype homebrew or probrew review yet. I'm kind of stuck with the emulation now, not having anything else coming in or pending for a bit. So probably this coming month, that's what we're more than likely going to be doing on those Sundays, is emulating. But just keep your eyes peeled and an eye on my feed here on YouTube, as well as on my Facebook and Twitter feeds, and it will come out what I've got in the works, and I'll get a post up, announcement post on that up before too terrible long, hopefully. I'm on the verge of picking it out. I just kind of wanted to go ahead and do this comparison contrast first, and then take a look and see what I could get going on that. So that will be up when I get around to it, hopefully a bit later today. In the meantime, if you enjoy this channel's content, please feel free to like, share, and subscribe. And please don't hesitate to leave any questions, comments, or suggestions down in the comments section below. You guys take care, have a wonderful Friday, and hopefully I will see everybody back here again this coming Sunday.